Welcome to With That Being Said, a Rue Fitness podcast where we get fit while having fun. Make sure to check us out on Instagram at Rue_Fitness and on Facebook at Rue Fitness. Also give us a like, hit that subscribe button, share it with your friends, and give us a 5-star rating and review. Only kind words. Hey everybody, we just got back from a ski trip, and by ski trip, I mean we were all coaching in the gym within the last 60 minutes.
I feel like people don't give enough credit to New Orleans for how cold it can get here.
Well, yeah, it's a damp cold.
It's a wet cold.
My feet are still freezing. My hands were freezing. I had mittens on. That was 60 minutes ago. I stopped what I was doing. I went over to Emily, and I said, hey, can I call and get an insulation quote for underneath our house today? And her response was, do you want to go to Disney World? And do you want a new grill? And I said, F the grill. I don't need that. Let's get insulation today.
Warmth matters.
That's how cold it is. But
Yeah.
Emily literally just got off the slopes. Look, so cute. Even
And by
flushed from the
literally,
cold.
you mean not literally.
That is correct. Most of the time when I say literally, it is the exact opposite.
We were just
Funny how that works.
watching an episode of How I Met Your Mother where they all reveal each other's like butts. Like when they're talking about like when you introduce someone or you're trying to set someone up on a blind date, like you're going to love this person. They do
Right.
this and this and this, but you leave out the butt. And they all start getting nitpicky with each other and revealing each other's like butts and shattering the illusions. And one is that one of them says literally all the time.
That would drive me
Was
nuts.
it Barney? Because I feel like
No, it's
he's-
Robin.
Oh,
I literally want to do this all the time. It's also
I'm
what my
definitely
niece
not a
does.
Robin. I'm Barney.
Inappropriate all the time.
Inappropriate all the time. Sarah, you? Are you Robin?
I guess. I think I'm a mix between like a Robin and a Marshall.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah, I see that. Em, you?
I have no idea.
You're Ted?
Sure.
No, I don't know anyone that's Ted. Anyway, let's get rolling. I'm Bradley. This is Emily. This is Sarah.
What up,
You know
y'all?
us. We're here with you every week. Hope you enjoy this episode. So, what's up, Stan? So, Emily, have you ever been in a situation, okay, when you are just crushing life, okay, crushing your daily tasks, habits, what have you, all of a sudden you get sidetracked, boom, fall right out of that?
I don't know if it has been that exact scenario, but I remember signing up for this like marketing program, and you know, the sales in the marketing program is selling the sizzle, not necessarily the steak, right? Their job in marketing is to sell Hawaii, not the plane ride, right? And so I signed up for this program, and then I realized how much work it was going to take, and I was like, ooh, like I was super excited, jacked to start. And then I was like, oh, this is going to take a lot of work. And then I kind of just didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Did you finish it?
I mean, eventually I did, but yeah, I mean, you're super excited once you start, and then you realize how much work it's going to take, and it's like, oof, I don't know if I'm.
But you did get back into it.
Yes.
Okay. What about you, Sarah?
I had the bright idea before I started here. So maybe like 10 years ago, inspired by my dad, I was going to run a marathon. And the longest run, I did a 16-mile run. Like, I mean, months of training to this point. It was hot. I remember my shoes were basically like puddles. And
Yeah.
I was like, this sucks. I'm done. And I never ran that marathon after I put in like months and hours of training.
Oof.
But it was like a long run. It was brutal. I didn't feel like doing it in the first place. It was like 2.5 hours of misery. I was done.
I am currently in that state right now where Emily and I were training with Gerald every single week. Okay. Loving it. Love sprint work with Gerald. It got cold. It got wet. Gerald had some personal things he needed to attend to. All of a sudden, we jump out of it, and now it's like
It's hard to get back in.
it's hard to get back in. Now, we do have it like planning to jump right back in as soon as we can. I'm waiting for this weather to go away, but it's easy to just fall out of that.
Completely off the line. Yeah.
Despite the fact that A, I loved it, B, it was good for me. I really enjoyed the sprint work. I saw massive results with my body from it.
I feel like it just takes one off day. And if you skip like one session, it gets really easy to turn it into the next time and the next week. And
Yeah. And so that's what we're here talking about today. That is called the habit dip.
Yes.
correct.
So we just experienced this in real life with one of the members of Stacked Coaching, and he agreed that I could share part of what he experienced through his journey with nutrition coaching. And I wrote up a little thing about it, put it in our private group, and we got so much interaction with people that relate to this. And similar to our experiences with this, he signed up for the program. His thought process was, I've struggled with this for a long time, but now I'm working with a professional. Like, how could I fail? Right. And then he got into the program. And I think especially when you're trying to do something right and you're not taking the magic pill approach, it takes work. And sometimes when you realize how much work it's going to take, it's easy to shut down. And that's exactly what he did. He stopped responding when I would reach out to him. And it was just like, initially he was filling out everything. I was getting really good responses from it. And then it was just radio silence. Mm-hmm. And it took me several times reaching out to him, calling him, texting him, emailing him, like trying different modes of communication. Finally, he did come back to me, and he's back in the program now, but we had a really honest conversation about the things that he was experiencing, the self-talk that he was experiencing. He shared with me that, he got a few days behind, and that turned into a week behind, and then it felt like so much energy to do all of the things that he had committed to me to do. And it just was easier to hide from me than to put in the work. He experienced feelings of guilt and embarrassment. And I was so pleased when he finally came back and we just had this really honest conversation. But I think that it's a really common thing, especially from seeing how much interaction me sharing part of his story got. Like, people were like, oh my gosh, I relate to that so much.
And this comes in all facets of life. So like, we're talking about nutrition. I see it in the gym all the time. Like, we have members that absolutely love it. They maybe move away, they come back, they jump right back into it. Maybe a spouse or somebody gets a new job, then all of a sudden, boom, it's hard to get back into the gym. You know what else you see this in? Like, simple life tasks, like paying your bills.
Yeah.
No, seriously. Or like, here's a great one. I'm guilty of this. I'm going to throw this up here, okay? Before Emily started with the gym, this would be like reconciling my books in QuickBooks.
You'd wait until the very end of the year to
do
it?
I did it some, and then I'm like, oh, this is tough. I stopped doing it. And then despite the fact that I knew I had to do it, I was like, oh my God, this is going to be like so hard. It's going to be so difficult to do. And I was discouraged that I had gotten so far away from it that I just kept putting it off and putting it off and putting it off until like basically I had a gun to my head. Mm-hmm. So it can happen.
Yeah, and I think that that's the first step to overcoming it, is to understand that it's very normal.
Yeah.
You are not alone.
Yeah. And I think that, like you said, what happens is instead of us taking a step back and looking at the whole picture and maybe practicing a little self-compassion and being kind to ourselves, and coming to you as a client and saying, this didn't happen this week, but kind of jumping the gun on that and getting in touch with you, we just feel guilt and we don't know how to get past that. And it feels in the moment, it feels easier to avoid it than hit it head on.
Yep.
I think this is what makes one of the cool things about what we do here special, is because we can provide that accountability, whether it's at Rue or with Stacked. And I have a couple examples of that. Like, you fall into the dip, okay? We have someone calling you, all right, to try to get you back into the gym. I mean, I've picked up the phone. This isn't my job at Rue, but I've picked up the phone, called someone, and then tried to reframe goals as to why they need to get back in, or just change the story some, and let them know, hey, this is like, it's okay. Like, life happens, guys. Life happens, all right? And that's the big thing of this. It's getting sidetracked by life. That's how you should consider it, right? And then even recently with Stacked, one of my clients, she has crushed it. Brittany Gross. She has crushed it every single week, okay? And this past week to this week was the first time she didn't lose weight. And she freaked out.
Yeah.
She freaked out, like, was discouraged, had all these feelings. And if you look at the week in her notes, she takes very diligent notes. It wasn't the same as all the other weeks, okay? She had to travel for some work. She had to eat out more than often. And, guess what? That happens.
Yeah.
Right? Like, this is going to happen. It's normal, okay? The good news is that she has the ability to get right back on it. I said, look, here's your goals for this week. Nothing new. Just get back to what you're doing before. That's it.
And
that's all you have to do.
That's where coaching really comes in handy, as somebody to make sure that the dip in the habit is a temporary thing and that you get back on it. I had that experience when I was studying for my level 2 nutrition certification. Life happened, meaning global pandemic. I had to
That's not normal.
Majorly reprioritize. Bradley and I and Sarah and Chelsea were running this like virtual company all of a sudden. And I had to reprioritize, and studying for this certification became very low on my list. And I stopped submitting case studies. I stopped reading my lessons. My coach noticed, and she called me. And her words to me were like, you know what? You can quit, but you've come way too far for me to let that happen. So what can we do to either restructure things or to get something else off your plate? Like, let me help you get back in. And I appreciated that phone call so much.
Yeah, I think I agree with the logic, but that someone always has it worse than you. I do truly believe in that. But I think we run the risk, most of us, of getting caught up in that. It allows us to feel guilty for getting behind. Like, well, someone has it worse and I can't do this simple thing. Like, what is wrong with me? So I think that there's like a fine line between like acknowledging that, yes, it's probably small in the scheme of things, but also understanding that this is important and this is big for you in the moment.
Yeah.
And I looked it up. I'm in the precision level 2 right now. I actually just finished the section on self-compassion and acknowledging common humanity. So that happened with your client, and knowing that you're not alone in these feelings.
Yeah.
Everyone gets stuck at some point.
Yeah. So how can we learn from it?
I think that that's the key, that understanding that this can be a temporary thing if you keep going and you don't quit. And that it's an incredible place of learning when you're in it, knowing that it's probably going to happen because it is so normal. So realizing when you're in it, oh, this was that thing that my coach said was going to happen. I'm in it now. But instead of trying to avoid the situation, come to it with a place of curiosity and learning. What can I learn about myself through experiencing this dip in consistency of this thing that I have said is very important for me to achieve?
Yeah, and I just want to remind everyone, when things are going easy and you were totally in it, is not the time you were growing the most or learning the most. It's when things are difficult. And I want people to think about it from a gym perspective, like a muscle growth perspective, right? Like if you're in the gym and you're lifting, 20-pound dumbbells and it's super easy, guess what's not happening?
Growth.
Not growing, okay? You are not having muscle growth, all right? It needs to be difficult. It needs to be hard. So when times are the hardest, when it's the most difficult to practice your habits, that's when it's time to practice your habits.
Yeah.
That's when you're going to grow. That's when you're going to excel as a human.
Yeah, and kind of piggybacking off of what Emily said about getting curious, I'm super big on trying to find time to step back and check in with yourself. So not only from like a mental, emotional standpoint, like taking a moment to think about the stories you're telling yourself when you're in that dip, and also doing kind of a body scan. Like, how do you feel right now? Because I guarantee if you're in that dip, you don't feel your best. And then from there, I think you have to just have a plan of attack. You have to acknowledge what is going on, take the little bit better approach and say, what can I do tomorrow to make it a little bit better? But also take that time to surround yourself with the people and the things that support you the most. Because I feel like oftentimes when we are in the dip, you can take a step back and you are putting yourself in situations that might not bring out your best self. And so kind of reevaluating what you're doing there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that kind of leads me to this. If you find yourself wanting to quit, you're trying to avoid specific situations, those things like that, just keep going.
Yeah. Speaking to what you were just saying about how you learn the most when you are struggling, I can definitely relate to that when I came back to the gym after having my babies. And that is a really tough thing to do. I feel like getting back in shape is often harder than getting in shape in the first place because
I think that's why people tend to quit the gym when they get into the dip.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of almost embarrassment.
Yeah.
And there shouldn't be. We all go through it.
Yep.
But there is. That is the feeling.
These people used to see me lift X, Y, and Z weights or do these pull-ups, and now I can't do them anymore. What must they think of me?
Yep.
Right.
And I had those thoughts and feelings, especially as the owner of the gym coming back and, not being able to jump on the higher boxes and not being able to do unassisted pull-ups. I was like, what are all these people thinking of me? And I literally had this conversation the other day with a member who told me how inspiring I was.
Literally or figuratively?
Literally.
Literally had this conversation.
How inspiring I was because I had a baby 6 weeks ago and I was back in the gym. So in my brain, I am like, oh my gosh, these people think that I am, a loser because I can't do all these things that I used to be able to do. And yet the stories that were in their brains towards me were very opposite. Like, look at this woman, how incredible she is. She just had a baby 6 weeks ago and here she is.
I can tell you from my experience with Rue, and I'll say Rue specifically, okay? 99.9% of the people don't give a shit.
They don't.
What you can do. Like,
No.
they do not care. You know what they do care about? If you're full of shit.
Yeah.
So don't be full of shit.
Yeah.
They care that you are consistent and you're showing up and you're
Right.
encouraging and you're bringing good energy.
Don't be fake. Don't be full of shit. You avoid those two things, you're good to go with everybody. Always.
Yeah.
Okay? So just show up. Just get going. That's it. That's it. Don't give up on yourself.
Yeah. Like, I cannot tell you how many times I got in my car and just cried, like, why can't I do these things? And you know what it took for me to be able to do them? And, by the way, become fitter than I was before I had my kids? Just keep showing up. That's all it took.
Yeah. And by the way, by just keep showing up, that's practicing. And by practicing,
Yes.
you create a habit. And that's what I tell people about with tracking food in our phase 2 of our coaching program with Stacked. Like,
Yeah.
it's practice.
Yes.
Weighing your food every day is practice. I don't need you to be perfect, okay? Don't worry about that because it's practice. And by doing this on a daily basis, no matter what, even if it sucks, okay, you're going to get better at it.
Yeah. It's the whole idea that you're not good because you're not willing to be bad. Just keep going and you will get better.
Yeah. And the idea that motivation is constant. It's not.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing that I want to talk about. People say all the time, it's a trite saying, right? Consistency is key. But I disagree with that because, because there will be these dips in consistency. There will. It's going to happen. Expect it, right? But what matters is your persistence. When you notice that your consistency is dipping, what do you do about it? Are you persistent, or are you going to give up and have that be the end of the story?
Yeah. So sometimes it's changing your environment, changing, like it could be simple as this. I'm having trouble staying motivated in the gym. I just don't feel it. Okay, cool. What time are you coming to the gym? 3:30. Okay. What if you came at 4:30? Or what if you came in the morning? What if you change the time you do something?
Experiment.
Yeah, just mess with it a little bit. Change it up. Sometimes it's only the slightest change that gives you the extra motivation or just keeps it fresh.
Yeah.
And that's part of it. And that could be like the same thing with your eating habits. Maybe you find yourself eating the same things over and over again and you get bored, and it's as simple as changing your salad dressing.
Right.
Which I do all the time. Or changing your dates to apricots.
Well, what did you do last night? Bradley has a very ritualistic thing with yogurt and protein powder. And what did you do last night? You didn't do that.
I didn't do that. Well, I mean, that comes with, there's a lot of reasons why I did that.
Right, I know. But you mixed it up, and you were talking this morning about how nice it was.
It was. So I found myself starting to, like, every night, I hoard calories so that I can have yogurt, protein powder, granola, and some pan-fried bananas in it, okay, with extra cinnamon because I love cinnamon. And I found myself, I found it to be a habit. So it wasn't necessarily a dip, but it was a habit. And I'm like, man, it's like all I think about at night now. And it was really weird. And I just kind of wanted to get out of it. And I found that I was bloated and some other things. And then I found my yogurt getting increasingly large. So instead of maybe eating some extra chicken or steak and extra sweet potato, I'm like, well, this is more yogurt I can have.
Cut a few calories
so
at dinner.
So
add a few more
exactly.
for
So
dessert.
instead of having 170 grams of yogurt, it became 200, which became 240. Which one time I had 310 grams of yogurt.
Hot damn,
my
that's a
yogurt
lot.
bowl.
That's a lot of yogurt.
I'm sorry. I could eat when Emily's like, how many proteins do you have left? And I'm like, 90. And she's like, oh, that's gonna be hard. No, it's not.
Watch me.
Watch this.
Hold
this
my
bowl
milk.
is about to have
Second
90
dinner.
grams of protein in it, But I was creating that, and I just needed to change it. And so I decided to cut out dairy for the week, see how things react. Just decided to do it. Just change it up. Experiment. So I had a Viking waffle with a bunch of fruit on it. If you want to follow me on Instagram, it's at Bradley Schneller. I'm actually going to do 48 hours where I post every meal I eat.
Nice.
So just so everyone can see, people are
You should
always asking.
save it as a highlight for people that listen to this after the fact. Do you know how to do that?
No, you'll have to
We
show
got
me.
it.
All right, thank you.
Well, I think a lot of it boils down to we're very smart people, and we all pride ourselves on that. But our brains are lazy. It wants to go into routines. It wants to take the quickest route. And that's how we develop habits. And it's hard to get out of it. And the older we get, I find the more we struggle with the idea of curiosity. So yeah, just you're smart, but you're probably lazy.
we got into the habit of eating in front of the TV
And now I don't do that anymore.
we don't do it at all. Never. Even if we put the kids to sleep early, we still eat at the table, and it's been really nice.
Eat slowly and undistracted, everyone.
Yeah. All right. Any other ways to practice this?
To practice getting out of it.
Yeah.
I mean, accountability is huge. A lot of times I don't think that people realize that that's part of what they're getting. Maybe I need to say that when I talk to people about Rue, but that's part of our business model, right? Other gyms, they want you to sign up and they want you to not show up because if everybody showed up on the same day, they'd be screwed, right? We keep our memberships fairly low because our whole model is we want you to show up. So if you're not showing up, we reach out and we give you that accountability. And as a result, people use their dang gym memberships.
Yeah. It
Accountability
happens.
is huge.
You know, something when you talk about accountability, a lot of people use social media to only share their highlight reels, right? Oh,
That's my bad.
she talks about me and my
Let's
computer all the
follow
time.
you.
Somebody's computer is going off in the middle of the podcast. Anyway, but everybody uses social media as like their highlight reel. So if you look at everyone's life, it's like, oh, it's always perfect, right? So what if you use it, though, as a tool to get out of the dip? And what I mean by that is what would happen if you posted on Facebook one day as your status, like, hey, y'all, I have fallen out of getting to the gym. I need someone to hold me accountable. Can anyone help me out with this or give me some advice? I guarantee there'd be like 65 comments on that and 120 likes.
Someone would be setting an alarm
Super
to text you at
encouraging.
4:30 in the morning if
Yeah,
you needed to
like-
see if you're getting to class with
And
them.
at the very least, by you posting it, even if no one decides to set an alarm and call you, okay, by the very least, by you posting it, is you're bringing awareness to yourself that A, I am in this dip, B, I need to get out of it, okay? And I think that is most of the battle right there.
Yeah, you have to be comfortable asking for help, and you don't need to post something about why it's so hard, but just acknowledging to the people around you, like, hey, this is kind of a challenge for me right now. I would appreciate a hand. People are going to reach out.
Yeah, specifically if you are already in a fitness community or a like nutrition coaching community, anything that's going to be for your betterment, that community will help you. I guarantee it. So
Yeah. I also think it's valuable when you are in a good state of mind, like when you're just signing up for something, right? Decide in advance, because chances are this habit dip is going to come. Deciding in advance when you are in a good state of mind what you're going to do about it, I think is really, and going a step further and actually writing that down and being like, when I am in this habit dip, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to acknowledge it instead of avoid it. I'm going to reach out for help and accountability, and like spell out what you're going to do.
all right, so let's talk about, I want to just throw this out there. Everybody thinks that we're machines, okay, in terms of maybe fitness, right? Or even eating, okay? People think like it comes easy to us. I guarantee you it does not come easy to us. And I can tell you all three of us up here can get bored with working out or not want to. Like that happens, okay? What do you do when that happens? I know what Emily did. I'll say it. So
I don't know.
yeah, I'm gonna throw this out there. No, because a lot of us, because of our schedule, Sarah and me in particular, the way we have our schedule set is we work out at 2:30, and there's a handful of us that work out at 2:30, and sometimes that ideally works for Emily, but she just finds that she gets more energized from being in the class, and so that's kind of what the tool
And being
you use.
coached
And
too.
being
Like I
coached, yeah.
appreciate that. And at 2:30, it's just like a bunch of us working out together. It doesn't have that same vibe. So yeah, I like class.
Yeah, cool, Sarah.
What do we do in the dip?
Or what
Or
do you do?
for
Or-
fitness? I
yeah,
mean-
for fitness. Because I know you've had to experience that over the last couple
I
years.
mean, for me, it's showing up. It's
Right.
on my calendar when I'm going to work out every day.
Same.
And I know.
It's called Power Hour.
Yeah, Power Hour. The most consistent member of Power Hour is Todd.
Yep.
And
Shout out to Todd.
Todd lets me know if he's not going to be there. And I know that, like, the type of person I am, since he does that for me, I know that if I'm not going to work out at that time,
To let him know.
I'm going to want to text Todd to let him know. And if I don't have a valid reason for not working out, he's going to ask what's up. He's not going to be judgmental about it.
Right.
But knowing I don't really have a reason, I just kind of don't feel like it. I take a moment, like, sometimes I'll say, like, okay, why do I feel this way? Okay, I didn't get a lot of sleep last night. So I'm going to work out, but I'm going to dial it back a little. So it's just, I'll take a moment, but it's scheduled out and I have an accountability partner.
Yeah. Everything doesn't need to be 100% pedal to the metal, too. Like you just heard Sarah say dialing back. There's been plenty of times that I just go through the motions Like literally, like Sarah knows. She can see the way I work out and go through the motions. But going through the motions keeps me from staying in a dip mentally, because all of a sudden, like, I will pop out of it. And even if it's the last 5 minutes of a workout, like,
Yeah.
and I know there's people out there that hate that if they work out with me, they'll see me sandbag the first like 15 minutes of a workout and then come like a banshee in the last 5. But that keeps me going.
You can
Yeah.
get a watch that buzzes every hour if you don't move too. That can get you moving.
I'll say a big thing that was a game changer for me in general, stop looking at the clock.
Yeah.
If you are struggling, maybe you're tired, but you don't trust yourself to dial it back, just literally turn around and face the wall.
Literally.
Literally turn around and face the wall.
Well, and there's also like, and I'm weird like this. There are mind games I'll play. Like I will do, because if it's a 20-minute AMRAP and you're staring at the clock, those 20 minutes will be forever. Okay. However, like if you start playing mind games with yourself, like I do math the entire time.
I know.
I am
Really?
working
I
out.
literally watch your eyeballs and it's like Donald Duck and Mathematic Land, like with a billiards table. Like that's what I imagine.
Yeah,
It's
I'm like doing splits and breaking it down. Okay, like if I did this round in this time, what do I need to do the next round by in order to achieve X, Y, Z? And then the calculations constantly change throughout. But by doing that, the workout flies by.
I think about business stuff. Like that's where I get some of my best ideas.
I feel like this surprises people, but I tune out. I completely 100% tune
That
out,
doesn't
and I
surprise me.
feel like it is the only time where my brain is quiet the entire day.
I love it. You're like Frank
3,
the
2,
Tank
1, go.
in a debate contest in old school.
Yeah,
I blacked out there. What happened? You just crushed it.
It's an
what
hour
happened.
where I literally am just constantly checking in with my body for an hour. What's going on? Funny story. The last time I think we did the open, I had Brad Scott judge me on every event, and his only rules were to count reps out loud and yell at me if I looked at the clock.
I like it.
He did a great job.
It's funny.
I just want to know where the reps are. When I was doing the open, I was like, don't cheer for me. Don't give me advice. I got like this running plan in my head. So.
Unless it's double unders, then he doesn't want to know where
Unless
his reps are.
my problem, you don't know how to count properly. So,
One
all
of
right.
the before we that workout, I think it was the same one. It was like 100 double unders this movement, 100 double unders that movement. I was judging one of our former coaches who's very competitive, and afterwards you came over and you were like, you did a really good job with those double unders, and I was like, oh my god, thank you so much.
the best compliment.
It's hard to
I
count.
was
So
exhausted
the next time
after.
he did it, he asked you to judge him on the double
I think I
unders.
did.
Yeah,
I
you
did.
did. I was like, thanks. I'm so tired.
Yeah. So, anything else to add
I
about
don't
the
think
dip
so.
trip Plantasia?
Just
That's
keep
the time.
going.
Keep going. All right, y'all. Make sure to, well, you already heard that at the beginning of the show. So,
Nice.
all right, y'all. Peace out.
Bye.